I want to take you to a place where the mountains touch the heaven and the air still holds a trace of frontier decency. A place where over the weekend, evil struck. Not with a drone, not with a bomb, not with a cyber attack, or a coordinated cell, but with fire. Ancient, primal, vicious. A man, not a citizen, I want to make that clear, not a citizen, not even a guest of our country anymore, an illegal immigrant whose visa had expired not once, but 2 times, hurled a Molotov cocktail into the window of a Jewish family's home this weekend. Flames don't ask questions. They quickly licked up the curtains, the memories, the photographs, and the people. One woman, elderly now, frail, a woman who had escaped the Holocaust in the last century. A woman who escaped Hitler's ovens only to be set ablaze here in the nation that was supposed to be the world's safe harbor. Let that settle in. She survived last century's greatest evil only to be hunted in this century, in this country, on our streets. When will you say you've had enough? Why was he here? How many more like him are here, hiding in plain sight, walking amongst us? Why, 2 decades after 9/11, have we learned nothing? Do you remember what 9/11, you remember what they said caused that? People overstaying their visas. And so we were going to change, we're going to get the Patriot Act so that never happened again. Well, the Patriot Act has done an awful lot of things, but apparently not stopped what caused 9/11. That was the hole we swore we were going to close. Do you remember the commissions? Do you remember the hearings? Do you remember all of the promises? They meant nothing. And it'll only get worse if we keep trading security for ideology, borders for feelings, sovereignty for slogans. Anti-Semitism is burning in our streets. This time, literal fire. This is not really an abstract kind of concept. This isn't a mean tweet or a campus protest. This is torches and flames. And it should sound familiar because I think we've all seen this movie before. Wasn't it in the 1930s that this happened when they lit synagogues, they lit people on fire? America, are you sleepwalking into that same nightmare? I have to tell you, I am so sick and tired of the lies from the left and the media. Every single day they claimed Donald Trump and his supporters, they're nothing but Hitler and they're Nazis. Well, let me ask you a question. What were the Nazis best known for? Because I don't think it was the Volkswagen. It was the Holocaust. It was their hatred of Jews. It was Kristallnacht. It was the ovens in Auschwitz. Let me ask you, which group of people is marching in the streets chanting from the rivers to the sea? Are they Donald Trump supporters? Or are the anarchists, the LGBTQ community, the Democrats, the socialists, the communists? Aren't they the ones doing it? I'm having a hard time with this because, Donald Trump is trying to build more cars in America, and if that's the way you define Hitler as somebody who was responsible for the Volkswagen, then yeah, I guess he's Hitler. But if you concentrate on what's happening with the Jews, it's very, very clear whose side is on who. Which one is shouting river to the sea, which means no Jews in Israel? 2 weeks ago, the son of a man who was a guest of the Democratic Party At the last State of the Union, his son, a flag-waving member of the communist socialist movement here in America, shot two innocent Jews in the streets 2 weeks ago. In fact, he took the time to reload so he could finish the young lady off. She tried to crawl to safety. I try not to be angry, but I am passionate. I was mocked by the ADL in 2009 or 10. Maybe it was probably 2009 and 10. I was called a hate monger for spreading fear because I dare tell you that what the world witnessed on the streets of Germany in the 1930s would come again to our streets. Well, let me ask the ADL. Do you still wish me to remain silent? Because this is exactly what I warned about and exactly what you called me a hate monger for pointing out. Gee, I'm sorry you don't have the vision needed to protect your own people, but it doesn't require an awful lot of vision, really. This story has been told over and over and over again. What are you saying now? What do you see coming now? Is it still Donald Trump you're really worried about? As bad as it is today, I warn you, you haven't seen anything yet. And this time it is global. And mainly because you on the left, in all of your haughtiness, all of your overeducated boobs, that try to preach to everybody about love and peace, have no idea how people actually work. You have cozied up to the very groups of people that wish to destroy the Jew. And you have only made it worse. The hour grows late. And let me ask you, the Jew has been chased out of every country on earth, always told to go back to where they come from. Well, they finally did, and now you want them out of there as well. Where do they go? This time, where does the Jew run? Where does the Jew hide? Please don't let this ancient evil grab your heart. Please. This is an ancient evil, and if we do not start treating it as such, instead of something we can negotiate with, I promise you the Jews will only be the canary in the coal mine. And with AI on the event horizon, there will be no place for the Jew or you to hide. No place. You know, the West isn't a direction on a compass. It's an idea. Fragile, but luminous idea. That all men are created equal, that laws matter, that borders matter, that truth matters. But when we allow lawlessness in the name of compassion, when we let hatred march unchallenged under the mask of tolerance, when we fail to enforce even the most basic boundaries of civilization, we're not being moral, we're being suicidal. How much longer will we ignore this? What will it take for all decent Americans to wake up? Must every town lose a synagogue? Must we have shootings and now fire bombings on all of our streets in all of our cities? Must every grandmother who survived the ovens of Auschwitz die in the flames of our indifference? When the people who came here because they were being persecuted for what they believed in, they said, we need to be a city on the hill. To be the last great hope of man on earth. But cities burn when no one defends them. When the watchman abandons their post, when people forget their own history, when people forget who they are. This is not about politics. This is not about race. This is about civilization. And we either draw the line here or we will allow the fire to spread until there is no West left to defend. And it will only be then that the world will mourn and weep for the just decency that Western civilization has created. They will weep, but it will be too late. This time, let's not be the generation that remembers freedom only by the smell of its ashes. Rise up, not in anger, but in spirit, in resolve. Please just remember. Remember who we are. Remember what we've tried to create. Remember what our principles are. Remember the truth. I saw a story today. Said Biden, his administration, had ignored 7,000 warnings of child trafficking. 7,000 warnings. May a millstone be around the neck of all of those that turned a blind eye. When will we come together on our principles again to protect the innocent, to actually enforce our own laws, to defend the vulnerable and call evil out by its name before the fires consume all of us? Back in a minute. There's a sad little world hiding in your freezer right now. It's an abandoned half bag full of peas stuck together with frozen green brick and a mysterious Ziploc bag labeled Thanksgiving stuffing. I don't really know. Single pizza roll, shriveled, curled into itself like a retired MMA fighter who's seen too much. These are the forgotten foods, the cold, unloved survivors, the meals that never happen. And they're lonely because the one thing in your freezer that you should be full of, the thing that makes all of those other ingredients worth using, is meat, good meat. And that's where Good Ranchers comes in. Every cut they sell is 100% American, raised on U.S. farms by U.S. ranchers and delivered right to your door. Steaks, chicken, seafood, all of it, top fresh, good quality, flash frozen for freshness, packaged so you'll never have to wonder what's inside or where that thing came from. You can't bring back the pizza roll. It's gone. But you can fill your freezer with something worth eating, something worth cooking, something worth sharing. Visit GoodRanchers.com. Use the promo code BECK. Unlock your free meat for life, plus $40 off. That's GoodRanchers.com right now. GoodRanchers.com. American meat delivered. 10-second station. Well, the press kept calling this man allegedly a illegal immigrant. They also called him a white man. Of course, that's easy to call him a white man, sure. Mohammed Sabri Solomon, in the middle of a tirade about Palestine, chanting and calling for the death of Zionists. They are killers. How many children have you killed? He said, and Zionists. He had a flamethrower with him and a couple of Molotov cocktails. He threw the cocktails at people during an event just calling for the release of Israeli hostages. I heard an interview with a girl that was there. She was LGBTQ. I don't know which one of the letters she was, but she was one of those letters. She might have been a number. She might have been a 2 or a plus. I don't know. But she was saying how she was there because you will not erase us. Have you ever had a brain cell that worked? Do you know anything at all about Israel? Do you know how open and welcoming Israel is to LGBTQ2 plus II, XYZ? You have any idea? Now let me ask you, have you done any thinking on how welcoming Hamas is to an L or a G or a T, let alone a Q or a 2 or a plus? I can't take the stupidity. And I'm a self-educated guy. I'm not exactly the sharpest guy on the radio. And if you listen to this every day, you know. I'm not the smartest podcaster. I'm none of those things. I'm a guy who used to make fun of things. And I got into talk radio to make fun of talk radio. And then 9/11 happened. And I realized I'm a moron. Did you just use the M word? Yes. And I'm going to use the R word later on in the program. Sorry, CNN, if it offends your sensibilities. Oh, that's another story that got under my skin this weekend. And so I educated myself. And I took and adopted made something a personal mantra of mine. Above all things, when it comes to religion, fix reason firmly in her seat, for if there be a God, he must surely rather honest questioning over blindfolded fear. And I started by questioning God. And then I questioned everything. And I'm still questioning everything today. Unfortunately, well, at least early on in the day, I'm mainly questioning other people's stupidity and willingness to live in self-imposed ignorance at the expense of the rest of us. You have a responsibility to educate yourself, you moron.
This is Glenn Beck.
Now, see, I didn't set out to do that. That's not what Christ would have done. And I am way away from that. Let me tell you about leaf home gutters. Ever notice how the stuff that causes some of the biggest damage starts out as nothing? There's a few leaves, in the gutter, a little summer debris after a storm, stray twig or two. Doesn't look like much until your gutter backs up. Water starts pouring where it shouldn't, and then you're staring at a repair bill that makes you question every life choice you've ever made. Well, at least you weren't in Colorado marching with the morons. And if you live in a wildfire-prone area, it gets even worse. Dry, flammable debris just sitting up there waiting for a spark. This is why you should have leaf filter, because this is what leaf filter does. The pros come out, they clean out your gutters, they realign them, they seal them, and then they install their patented gutter protection system, trusted by over 1 million homeowners all across America. They don't just patch a problem, they prevent it. It's summer. You should be thinking about grilling, not drainage. But right now, you can save up to 30% off your entire order. What's not to love here? Schedule your free inspection. Get 30% off your entire purchase at leaffilter.com/glennbeck. That's leaffilter.com/glennbeck.
Get every story we talk about every day in the email newsletter at glennbeck.com. It's free. Sign up now. glennbeck.com.
So, I want to just circle back on one thing. Anybody who, in the media, who is intentionally avoiding, whether left or right, whether they are intentionally avoiding this story that happened in Colorado, and they just don't want to make a comment on it because it's too controversial, be very careful of that individual. If this is too controversial, if they don't get it at this point, they're going to lead you astray. Anyone who is intentionally silent is a problem. Anybody who is a podcaster or a broadcaster, and their job is to talk about politics, culture, and the global direction, if they're not making this a priority story, they're just dangerous in their stupidity, and you should not listen to them for great advice, because they just don't. This is such a. The last 2 weekends, this weekend and the weekend before last, when we have shootings of Jews in our own street. If that isn't a beacon that you drop down, you don't drop a pin on the map and say, we are here now. You have no idea how to protect Western civilization. And this is not about the Jews. I know a lot of people, I think those Jews, they run the banking system. Oh, shut up. It's not about the Jews. Jews will just be the first to go. They'll come for you. Well, they're not going to come for me because I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not saying anything. I'm just not getting involved. Okay. Let me switch topics to somebody else who is just. It's really strange. There's somebody that is incredibly irrelevant. And I normally I'm not bothered by irrelevant people because they're so irrelevant. But this guy is not only the king of irrelevancy, he drives me out of my mind. And that is Tim Walz. The former governor or the governor and the former vice presidential candidate Tim Walz, that guy, I don't know what it is. It's that he is. It's a combination of stupidity and I think inauthenticity. He has no idea how to be authentic because he's not authentic, and he's playing this little role, and then you couple that with his stupidity, and it just makes my head hurt. Makes my soul just hurt a little bit for him, I pity him. He was in South Carolina, and he was speaking to the Democrats, and, This is the kind of advice you're getting now from Democrats. He said the Democrats need to be meaner. And what he was doing was he was trying to, get everybody in the Democratic Party to during his keynote address, he was trying to get everybody, really riled up. And he said, maybe it's time for us to be a little meaner, a little more fierce. I know, because, the setting the streets on fire, it just hasn't been enough, marching in the streets, from the river and the sea, which is causing the shootings of Jews. And, that just hasn't been enough. I don't think you've been mean enough. There are things that you could do. You could just start rounding people up and putting them in camps. That might be a little meaner. He says, the thing that bothers a teacher more than anything else is to watch a bully. And when it's a child, you talk to them. You tell them why bullying is wrong. But when it's an adult like Donald Trump, you bully the S out of him. Oh, well, that's a good example for the kids. He also called Trump, now this is going to come as a surprise, a wannabe dictator. Donald Trump is the existential threat we knew was coming. Oh, wow, okay, you got that one, and it really doesn't seem like it, but you missed the whole collapsing of the Western world. He said, we've got the guts, and we need to have it pushed back onto the bullies and on the greed. And you should also have some fun and be joyful. This guy's a moron. Stu, am I alone in this? I don't know why. I don't even know why I pay attention to him, because he's so incredibly irrelevant. He wants to run for president, and he has as much chance of winning the nomination of president as Kamala Harris would have if she had to go through a primary. I mean, there's no chance this guy is going to win.
No, and you're definitely not alone. In fact, I kind of have considered myself the president of the I Can't Stand Tim Walz club over the years, because he's so... It's not like he's a loser Democratic vice presidential nominee. Like, we didn't spend any time talking about Tim Kaine after the Hillary Clinton campaign failed. There was nothing to that at all. Like, he's just a guy, and he was kind of boring, and we moved on with our lives. There's something like uniquely irritating about Tim Walz, the way he speaks, the way he tries to do this fake tough guy act. All the time. It's so annoying. Like, and it's not. I've been reading all these books about the campaign, and one of the things I've been fascinated about outside of the Biden mental decline stuff is how on earth she picked him. Like, I can't comprehend how anyone could have thought that was a good idea.
Oh, wait a minute. Hang on just a second. She was trying to get men to get back into the camp. And that's the understanding of the left of what a man is.
Yeah. It's like
Tim Walz.
Yes. It's like, I don't know. Like, it's such a massive miss, right? Like, it's someone who's never met a man before and is thinking, like, this is probably what they like. He said the word football before.
Yeah.
He must be. And it's like
he is. It's like he's an alien, that came down and was like, here's how you be a man. It's just so weird. Anyway, he also went on to say, the big, beautiful bill. I used to teach fourth grade. I was going to say it sounded like something like a fourth grader would come up with, but that would be insulting to my fourth graders. Ha, ha, ha. Laugh ensues. Let me just play the audio now of Tim Walz saying, build back better. Don't talk to me about bad names when you were touting Build Back Better. Yes, big, beautiful bill. Patriot Act. We get it. But the whole slogan for the left was Build Back Better. Please.
The words aren't even in the right order, it feels like. He is just like, and it's interesting because I really did certainly hope, but also think he would go away forever after that. I mean, I think I don't know that it's actually true, but there's a legitimate case to be made that he cost them the win. Like, it was It was like if that was a good
partially,
pick, it could have been. I mean, like if they went with, say, Josh Shapiro, a guy who's a little bit more in the middle in a state that actually mattered, I don't think it would have made the difference. I think it would have been closer.
Yes.
But I don't.
They
think
may not have won they may not have won the popular vote. Donald Trump may not have won the popular vote with Josh Shapiro. Maybe.
I think it really could have made the difference in a key Senate seat or two.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So that one, I mean, Pennsylvania in particular was probably the closest Senate race, if I remember right, in that election. I mean, you didn't need much that one took like a month before they called it. I mean, if you had Josh Shapiro on that ticket, at the very least, they probably get that Senate seat. And that would have been terrible for the country, sure. But like, and it's inexplicable. There's just nothing that you'd look at him and say, okay, I understand why on paper they picked that guy. He's terrible in every way. And, the only thing that you could point to is that the far, far left seemed to like him on MSNBC before and, kind of during the ramp up of this process. But then even after they picked him, they basically realized immediately how offensive he was to everyone else on earth and didn't put him even on MSNBC throughout the campaign. So the one thing that they picked him for, they didn't even utilize. I mean, it's incomprehensible. And by the way, we should also note Kamala Harris's own description of the day she picked Tim Walz was she was overtired. That's what she said about it. I mean, she's not a good decision maker anyway. But she said, when I made that pick, I was overtired. Well, yeah, we can all see that. Were you drunk too? I mean, it was 8 a.m. I assume the answer to that is yes. But that's about as understand. I can't come up with a comprehensible reason why they did it. I'm fascinated by that moment in history.
Well, they were busy ignoring things, Stu, at the time. And so they were probably ignoring that he was a huge fraud. The story that came out today, and let me see who gave this. This is from The Federalist. The Biden administration ignored or dismissed more than 65,000 reports related to migrant children, more than 7,300 reports of human trafficking. Of the reports, 56,591 were notifications of concern, 7,346 reports of human trafficking, and 1,688 fraud leads. I'm trying to, how are the Democrats standing up for all of these? I swear to you, if one of them stands up for this guy in Colorado, I'm going to lose my mind. How are they standing up for all these illegals and everything? You don't know who they are. And you ignored 7,346 reports of human trafficking? 65,000 reports related to migrant children, and you ignored them? How are you the compassionate ones? Are you? Well, they're not. They're not, and it's becoming very, very clear. And what is their solution? Go back to Tim Walz. What's their solution? Because they're being exposed as, wait, your compassion is only getting people killed. It's not a good idea. I don't think you understand compassion. You keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means. And so what are they saying? Hey, go out and have some fun and some joy, but we need to be meaner. We need to start bashing people. The masks are almost entirely off of everyone on the left. And hopefully Americans will have the eyes, and the rest of the world will also have the eyes to see exactly what they're in bed with. All right, let me tell you about Relief Factor. And Z factor. Look, you can skip breakfast. You can skip, leg day. I usually do. But sleep, you don't want to skip that. Your body starts sending you warnings. Maybe it starts small, maybe a little fog in the morning, a little bit of irritability. You blame on the coffee being weak or whatever. But it builds. Your immune system slips. Your memory short circuits. Your patience evaporates. And before long, your body is filing for separation from your brain. And that's not good because sleep is not optional. It's not a luxury. It's a system requirement. It needs to reboot every night. And if you want to get it right and you want to sleep, would you try something that actually works that's not a drug? Z Factor by Relief Factor is built to support your body's natural sleep cycle without knocking you out, without leaving you groggy the next day. Just a smooth, gradual wind down that helps you fall asleep faster, stay asleep longer, and wake up feeling like a human being again. It's natural, it's non-habit forming, and it's actually designed to work with your body, not just to put you in a temporary coma. First-time Z Factor buyers, 46% savings. $19.95 for a 30-day supply. Just go to relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF. 1-800-4-RELIEF.
Beck will be right back.
Millions of Americans take fish oil supplements every single day. They've heard that omega-3s are good for them. But the thing is, most people have no clue if their supplement is actually working. You kind of think about it. It's like, has your fish oil lowered your blood pressure? Has it helped with joint pain or stiffness? Has it reduced any inflammation at all? For most people, the honest answer is no, or maybe, which probably just means no. Regular fish oil has some omega-3s, it's true. But Native Path Antarctic krill oil takes it to another level. This is what makes it different. Krill oil contains a powerful antioxidant that can produce real improvements, lower blood pressure, less joint pain, reduced inflammation. And Native Path is so confident you'll feel the difference, they're offering up to 66% off right now. Plus, you don't believe them, they got free shipping and a full 365-day money-back guarantee. No questions asked. No hoops to jump through, which is kind of nice. The special offer is only available at nativekrill.com/blaze. It's nativekrill.com/blaze. nativekrill.com/blaze. Stop wondering if your supplement is working. Make the switch to something that actually delivers results. It's Native Path Antarctic krill oil because feeling better beats hoping you might feel better someday. It's nativekrill.com/blaze. nativekrill.com/blaze.
I hate to say, I told you so. But remember, I've been saying that all of the weapons that we currently have and are making and everything are going to be useless, and aircraft carriers are going to be, the horse of World War I. It's just going to be overwhelming. Did you see what happened in Russia this weekend with Ukraine? Ukraine, they sent drones way into Russia and hit 41 Russian heavy bombers thousands of miles away from Ukraine. The damage to their military is $7 billion. They wiped out, let me see if I think it's a third. They hit, I can't find it now, but I think it's a third of the Strategic Air Command. So all of the strategic nuclear bombers, the ones that, used to be kept running on tarmacs all around the world because we were close to nuclear war, those bombers, our Strategic Air Command, you imagine 30% of it being wiped out by drones in one attack? That's what's happening over in the Soviet Union and Ukraine. The next war, you don't want to fight the next war. The next war is going to be terrifying. We pray for peace, but we're going to go over exactly what happened with this particular attack yesterday that is stunning. Next.
This is Glenn Beck.